Friday morning, probably about 9 o'clock, Therma got up. She looked at the clock and said, "Oh, gosh, I didn't even count yesterday." Well, see what she does. She actually counts buttons on clothing. As people go by, she'll count the buttons. She'll go right up to the people and start counting their buttons, regardless whether they're on their pant legs, whether they're on their coat, shirt, you name it, blouse, whatever it is. She wants to count those buttons and get a clear count. She jots them down right there on a piece of paper in her notebook that she carries with her. And she's done this now for the last 4 years. A lot of people, she multi-counts too, by the way. If one person walks in a store, she'll count their buttons before going in. And then on their way out, if she forgets who they are, or even if she doesn't forget who they are, she'll count them again. So sometimes she'll get a double count. And she doesn't really care whether she gets a double count. She just needs to get the count. That's all it is. So all she wants to do is get that count of everybody, whether coming in or going out. She wants to know how many buttons, and she'll even jot down what colors of buttons and styles, like there might be a square button, round button. You get the picture. You know what I'm saying. But she'll do this all the time. And one time she was counting buttons, and she turned away and looked off to the side and saw this big fella walking by. And he had these big buttons on his shirt. And she ran over to him, ready to count his buttons, and she was pointing at him.
"What the heck are you doing?"
And she said, "I'm counting your buttons."
"You get away from me right now."
Well, she couldn't believe that he was so upset when all she wanted to do was count his buttons. And he started to walk away. She said, wait a minute.
"You leave me alone. Leave me alone."
She said, "Oh, no, I gotta count your buttons before you get out of this store completely."
"Oh, you think you're gonna, huh?"
And he started to run. He didn't run real fast because he was so big, but he did start to run. You could hear the ground shake practically. Boom, 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 boom. Like that. And she was following right behind him. She wouldn't want him to get away for nothing. And that's why he just kept on going as far as he could. But he couldn't run fast, like I said. But he could run fast enough to keep her out of sight. So as he kept on going, and then all of a sudden he just jumped up in the air and came to a stop. Just with 2 feet, just like landing on the ground after jumping off a fence or something. He just jumped in the air and just stopped right there. And she ran, bam, right in the back of him. Oh, she was dazed and got knocked down. He said, "Are you okay?" She said, "Yeah, I'm okay, but I couldn't catch you to count your buttons."
"Well, I'm okay."
So he knelt down and both knees hit the ground. Boom, boom. And he said,
"Go ahead, count my buttons, I don't care."
So she did. She jumped up on her feet, and all of a sudden she felt better just knowing she could count his buttons. There he was, kneeling there, and she started to count his buttons. 1, 2, 3, and then she reached over to the side a little bit and lifted up that one piece of clothing, and she looked in there. "Do you have a button in there too?"
"Yeah."
"Okay." So she reached in there. Oh, there it is. She spotted it. Now she had pretty much everything covered. And do you have anything else? Do you know of any other place on you where you have a button?
"No, that's about it."
So that's what happened. She got all of her buttons counted on the big guy, and he got up back on his feet again and started walking away. Boom, 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 boom. And away he went. Oh, she was happy now. Well, she hurried up back to the store so she could start counting more buttons again. And by that time, it was already closing time. And there was a little dog passing by with the owner, and the owner looked down at her, and she looked up at the owner and said, "Excuse me, ma'am, would you mind if I counted your buttons?" "What do you mean, count my buttons? What's the matter with you? You go around counting buttons?" How did you know?" "I heard about your kind." What do you mean?" "Oh, yeah, you go around counting buttons, and then you start thinking about how you're going to get them." "No, I don't think of that. I just want to count the buttons. That's all I want to do." "Oh, I bet you do." And she walked away with the little dog. And the little dog had a little jacket that was buttoned on. Well, you can imagine what happened there. She started to squat down and started heading toward the dog. "What are you doing? Get away from my little puppy." Oh, boy, she was really shook up. "Get out of here! Go on, get out of here!" She started to holler at her. "Oh, boy, it's just one little button. I just want, maybe does it have two or..." "I'm not telling you now, get out of here!" So it's all of a sudden she was all shook up and wild and crazy, and the little girl was really, really, really sad that she couldn't get her buttons counted. All I need to do is get out of here right now. So she had to leave. She never did count the little buttons on that little dog, but she wanted to really bad. So she waited for her to come out of the store. She was going to sneak peek, catch a button or two. Hopefully she'd catch them all, because she wanted to keep that in her log, that she got the buttons. Well, she waited and waited and waited and waited. Well, what happened? Apparently, she went out the back door. That's what happened. Never to be seen again. She was missing a couple buttons now, but she'd catch up for them later on. She'd have to just keep hunting around. That's what she was going to do. She would just start searching around. There's more people out there with buttons. She'll find them. She'll find them. She'll find him. 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 She'll find him.